Hey guys, it's Aisha, your host for Beautifully Broken. So in today's segment, we're going to keep it pretty simple. I'm just going to do an introduction of myself and kind of talk about my reasoning for wanting to start this podcast, as well as just giving you guys a little bit of insight and discussing future segments that we're going to be discussing. So as you guys know, I'm Aisha. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I've been living down south now for around 10 years, maybe a little bit longer, but I want to say about 10 years. I have a degree in marriage and family therapy, and I'm also an associate licensed therapist. Currently, I work in behavioral health for adolescents and children. Prior to that, I was a grief and trauma counselor for homicide victims' families. So I basically did therapy for those that were murdered. I worked with their families, did death notifications and all that good stuff. And prior to that, I worked as a substance abuse counselor in a prison. So my reason for wanting to start this podcast is, like many other mental health professionals, we are literally dump trucks for our clients. We hold some of their deepest, darkest secrets. They confide in us, they tell us everything, and we are like their secret keeper. So sometimes that can become a little overwhelming simply because you're just dealing with everybody else's emotions and everybody else's feelings. Now, don't get me wrong. When I chose this field, it was something that I really wanted to do, and it's something that I love, and I wouldn't change for anything in the world. I am a super helper, and I always figured that people always came to me with their problems. So I said, well, maybe I should just pursue a degree in therapy because, I'm a talker. People love to talk to me. They love to come to me with their problems. So I just decided to pursue therapy. And it's one of the best decisions that I ever made. I wouldn't change it for anything. But it came at a point in time in my life where I was so overwhelmed with everything mentally and emotionally that I literally felt like a train wreck. What a lot of people don't realize in the mental health world is that, yes, this is a profession that we chose, and yes, our clients confide in us in everything. But what people don't realize is that some therapists have a hard time confiding their issues to others. And that was one of my main issues. In my past, I've dealt with failed relationships, failed marriages. I have 2 great kids. I have a great spouse. I have a great support system. My sisters, my mom, my dad, nieces and nephew. I have an amazing support system that I'm extremely thankful for. So I've also had issues and trials and tribulations just like the next person that I had to deal with. And a lot of it I had to deal with alone. A lot of things that I went through, I chose to deal with it by myself because I felt like my siblings, my family, they had their own issues going on. So I wanted to deal with my things myself. And I also wanted to be very strong and be a great example and a great role model for my kids. Because despite whatever choices I've made in my past, I always wanted to set a better example for them, regardless of, everything that I've been through. I wanted to be a role model for them. So I want to say approximately 2 months ago, I hit a breaking point to where I was at my worst mentally. And not because I'm not happy, not because nothing's wrong at home. My life is amazing. I have an amazing spouse. I have amazing kids. And like I said earlier, I have an amazing support system. But I had issues from my past that I was holding on to that were catching up to me. And now that I think about it, I think it was because a lot of my clients that I deal with, a lot of the hurt and the trauma they dealt with was some of the same hurt and trauma that I dealt with. And I kind of suppressed it in the back of my mind. So it created something in me that was just at a boiling point of just boiling over because I had so many things that I hadn't dealt with. But here I am trying to be a savior and listen to other people's problems and give advice and, be this mental health professional. And then I came to the realization that I didn't even have it together. So I hit a point to where, I had to realize that my past made me who I am today. It made me a better person. But I also had to realize some of the decisions I made in my past. Why did I make them? And I had to realize at one point in time, I didn't love myself. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to love myself. So I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And, I felt like if I was in a relationship, if you showed me a little bit of attention, that you loved me. And I had to realize that that wasn't love. After a failed marriage, after another failed relationship, I had to realize that what I'm looking for someone to give that to me, and I don't even have it for myself. So I had to take a break from dating, from everything, and just find me. And I did that. I did just that. And I kind of found me again. And was like, okay, I got it together. I'm getting myself together. I love me. I'm not going to let nobody take me to a bad spot again. So I was good. And I want to say 2 months ago, I just got so mentally drained and so overwhelmed. And I believe it started with my last job. I love my clients, but the job itself was so hard, listening to people in grief. It was so hard. And we didn't just do therapy. We did death notifications. We would get called to the crime scene. Sometimes the bodies will still be there. And then we're dealing with that mentally, and then having to deal with a distraught family. It was just so much. So I felt myself getting overwhelmed in that job. And my boyfriend was like, you need to go see somebody, because that's kind of traumatic to have to deal with that. So I did. I went and I spoke with somebody. And as anybody that is in the mental health profession, that is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're a therapist, to sit across from another therapist and tell your story, because it's like they're psychoanalyzing you and you're psychoanalyzing them. So it's just the weirdest and the hardest thing to do. But I went, and it was the most awkward experience I ever had. Not because I reached out, but because my therapist was an intern. And don't get me wrong, I don't have any issue with speaking with an intern, because I did internship myself. But it was so awkward because she seemed more intrigued with my story than she was in actually being a helper. So at that point, I was like, man, forget this. This is not going to work. I'm just going to do what I normally do. Garden, listen to my music, because I love music. Great radio station for you guys. Just side note is Soul Collection Radio on Apple Music. It's amazing. But I listen to that. I listen to just anything that soothes my soul. And I love the garden. So that was helping me for a while. And I left my other job because I just felt like emotionally and mentally it was just draining. And then I was dealing with a lot of other issues. So I left. So I started a new job in a behavioral health center for children, which has been great because I love working with kids. But that emotionally and mentally took a huge toll on me. And it just set me back so bad. So I had to realize that I needed a mental break. But it wasn't by choice. It wasn't by choice at all. It happened one day. I was in the shower and I literally started bawling my eyes out for at least 40 minutes in the shower, just crying my eyes out. And I was like, oh crap, I've been in here for like 40 minutes. Let me get out the shower. So I got out the shower and I kind of got myself together, got my composure together. And as I'm getting my composure together, I literally look at myself in the mirror and start bawling my eyes out again. Just crying and crying and crying and could not stop. And I was literally having a conversation with myself like, why are you crying? Why are you crying like this? And I literally responded, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. So I got myself together. I fixed my face, got dressed, went in the living room, and was on the couch sitting next to my boyfriend. And he was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. What are you talking about? I'm good. Like, what? So he was like, no, you're not. Have you been in the bathroom crying? And I'm like, no, I'm catching a cold or something. I think I told some story about catching a cold or just not feeling good or whatever. And he was like, you've been in the bathroom crying. And I was like, no, I have not. And literally, as I'm saying that with a straight face, tears are just rolling down my face. And he looks at me and he's like, you need to talk to somebody because you are mentally exhausted at this point. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm fine. But literally I was, because I was coming home. I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking. I wouldn't even drink water. And I literally lost 32 pounds in 2 months. So I took his advice. I went and I talked to my doctor, which my doctor wasn't in. So I saw his nurse practitioner, and he was amazing. When I first got in there, and he looked at me. He was like, are you okay? And I don't even think I said 2 words. I just start bawling. And as I'm crying, I'm like, no, I'm not okay. Like, I'm mentally exhausted. I listen to problems all day. No one asks me how am I doing. I'm just tired. I'm just mentally exhausted, and I feel like I'm going to have a mental breakdown. And I literally thought to myself, this man is going to think I am absolutely insane. And he looked at me and was like, it's okay. It's okay. I understand how you feel, because I'm in this position and it gets mentally exhausting sometimes. So I can only imagine how you're feeling with having to be a secret keeper for people. And I just looked at him like, wow, somebody actually gets it. And in the process of all that, I was like, dude, is it normal to lose 24 pounds in a month and a half? Because at that time I had lost like 24, 25 pounds at that point. And he was like, are you trying to lose weight? And I was like, no, I'm not trying to lose weight. I said, I need to lose weight because I'm a little, chubby chumpkins. But I'm not literally trying to lose weight. Like, I haven't done anything to try. It's just dropping off because I literally was not eating. So I sat and I talked to him for a while. And I just remember feeling a little bit better when I left from there. So when I got home, I told my boyfriend, thank you. Thank you for actually taking the time and noticing something was wrong, because I felt like nobody noticed. Because a lot of times people will come to you with their issues and their problems and want you to talk to them and want you to listen, but no one ever really asks each other, hey, do you have the mental capacity to listen to what it is I need to vent about at this moment? No one never asks that. And I was like, I have to be selfish with me a little bit, because if I'm not, I am literally going to have a mental breakdown, because I'm holding in so much, even from my past experiences to now and working in this field. Like, I'm holding in a lot, so it's okay for you to be like, hey, mentally, I don't have the capacity to listen to your issues right now. So we're going to have to try that again. And I felt like a butthole doing that, but I had to do that for my own peace of mind and for my mental health. So I started doing that, and it felt a little bit better. Now, my major support system, as far as immediate family, my sisters, my mom, my nephews, all of them, they're in California. So I kept everything that I was going through a secret, and they knew nothing about it until I told them. And I think my sisters kind of knew something was going on, but they didn't know exactly what, because I didn't want them to worry, because they're so far away. And like I said, they both have their own issues they were dealing with, and I'll get their permission to talk about that when I go home for Christmas, and kind of touch bases on everything that they've dealt with as well. So I just didn't want to be that selfish individual to be like, oh, well, yeah, you guys are going through stuff, but look, this is what I'm going through. So I didn't want to do that. So I say all that to say this: no matter how small you think your problem is, how small, how minute, however you view it, it is never okay just to hold that stuff in. It is okay to vent, and it's okay to reach out for help, because when you push stuff under the rug and you continue to sweep stuff under the rug, what ends up happening, everything starts to flow out. And I learned that when it starts to flow out, it's hard to stop it. So I just want to be an advocate for people to know that it's okay to talk. It's okay to, reach out for help. It's okay. It's okay to take that cape off for a day and say, you know what? I need a break. I'm not Superwoman. I'm not Superman. I need a break. And it's okay to take that break. Now, my boyfriend and my sisters and them, they kind of make fun of me, especially my boyfriend and especially my kids, because they say I can't sit still, that I'm always moving and I'm always going. And I'm at a place now where I'm trying to learn to sit still and just kind of focus on me and not become so overwhelmed with everything that's going on with me, and remembering to take time out to get my mental space back right. So we're going to talk about more in future segments of why I think everything built up to the point that it built up to for me to have such bad anxiety at that moment and at that time. But I just wanted to give you guys just a little bit to know that everybody goes through things. Everybody has moments to where they're falling apart or just feel like everything is just crumbling down. But it's somebody that's willing to listen. It is. It's someone there. And we can't continue to hold everything in. It's so important to take care of yourself. It's so important to make sure that you're okay. It's okay, and it's imperative to check in with yourself. I cannot stress this enough to people, to check in with yourself and literally be like, am I okay today? And if you're not, it's all right to be like, okay, no, I'm not good today. I'm not. Okay, I need a break. I just need time to myself. It's okay to do that. It's all right. It's okay to be selfish with you. It's okay to be selfish with your time. It's okay to be selfish for a day. It's okay to have the family go eat a sandwich for the night because you just need a break. It is okay. So that's all I wanted to discuss today. Like I said, in future segments, we'll get into a little bit more detail. I just kind of wanted to put something out there and get everything started. But that's going to be it for today. Tune in next week for another segment. And also, I'm on Anchor, so you guys can do voice recordings to send voice messages to ask me questions that you guys want implemented into the show, into this podcast, that I would be more than welcome to answer. And also anything that you guys feel like you guys want, to be discussed, anything that you're going through personally, any advice that you would like to have, feel more than free to send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. But that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next week.